In this video, I'm going to talk about overstimulation and how it is ruining your life. If you're interested in learning some ways how to fix this problem, stay tuned. So, overstimulation, how does it affect your mental health? Well, like I said in the beginning, it is ruining your life, and maybe that might be a little exaggeration, but I'm not so sure. Because when you think about it, your brain, I'm going to go to the next slide here. Your brain can process 11 million bits per second, but your conscious mind can only process 50 bits per second. This means that obviously your conscious mind is limited in some ways, and it's built in. This is how this works because it obviously can't handle everything that we're throwing at it, and this is why we need to kind of help the mind a little bit. It helps your mental health overall when you don't give it so much to process. That's really what it comes down to. And overstimulation is just another way of saying you're giving the brain too much to process. So let's go through all the ways that this is happening that you might not even be realizing how this is happening because they all build up together. So they all kind of pile on top of each other and make the problem much worse. So if you only had one of these, it wouldn't be so bad. But since a typical person's life is going to involve almost all of these things, that's a sign that we all need a little bit less stimulation. Work often requires 100% of our attention through most of our senses. So think about it. When you go to work, you are most likely using your eyes, of course, to see things. You're probably, using your brain to process information. You're probably talking to people and trying to solve problems. Problem solving is stimulation in itself. So the more that is demanded of you at work, then the more stimulated you're going to be. Now, you might be one of those lucky people that has a job where you're not dealing with people, you're not really doing anything stressful, and you're not really required to listen or see or pick up things. It's a very easy type of job, and that's great if you can get a job like that. But most jobs are not like that, and so just going to work every day is stimulating, and 8 hours of that is like, I don't think that's healthy. And there's a lot of people that talk about this too, that it's very unhealthy to work in a job that is very stimulating 8 hours a day, 5 days a week. But there's really not much we can do about it at this point in time unless you want to start your own business or, find other alternatives. So let's move on to the next thing here. This can be something that a lot of people might relate to. Until the minute we fall asleep, we are still stimulating the mind and the senses. So many people go to bed with their phones, or they have a TV in their bedroom and they fall asleep to the TV. It's almost constant. And then the minute you wake up, you're also picking up your phone. You're also turning on the TV. You're talking to people. So it's constant. There's really no break from the minute you wake up till the minute you fall asleep. Our entertainment is all about the senses as well. If you are going to a movie or watching a movie at home, or video games or anything of that sort, listening to music even, it's all about the senses. Because in this world, in the 3D world we live in, entertainment is a big thing. And I'm saying that in such a way because I've kind of moved past needing entertainment, and so when I do experience it now, it almost seems like it's um it's really just to keep your senses happy. Now, some entertainment isn't, I'm not lumping it all in the same category here because I do enjoy some entertainment, but it's more fulfilling. So it's kind of like is the entertainment that you are experiencing fulfilling, or is it just to make your senses busy? If we are a parent, the stimulation almost never ends. And I'm not a parent, but I know what it's like because I've babysat children and I have some nephews, And I mean, I've been around kids enough to know that unless they're sleeping, you're going to hear them, you're going to see them, you're going to need to fix a problem they're having or something like that. So if you are a parent watching this video, you most likely can relate to the fact that you are overstimulated. Even when we're relaxing, the mind is still being stimulated. And this is kind of what I just mentioned earlier about the entertainment. If you are sitting on the couch eating and you're just dependent on something to come in front of your eyes and into your ears, that's what a lot of people do to relax, is they just sit down in front of the TV and you're still being stimulated. And this is why people are so impressionable when they are watching TV, because they're called TV programs for a reason. They're programming your mind. They're telling you what to think, they're telling you what to see, and they're telling you what to buy more than anything. I mean, look at the ads. So, if you're trying to relax, I certainly would never sit in front of a TV, at least not to watch what's on the TV, unless you're gonna play something yourself or, manually choose what you want to watch. So this slide is going to talk about why it's so important to calm down the nervous system. Because when you are overstimulated, you are not calm. You are not going to be in the healing. Like, if you see, there's two sides here. There's the parasympathetic nervous system, and then there's the sympathetic. These are both different, and they both have completely different objectives. So I want to draw your attention to where the red circles are. Those are the ones that I think are the most important to know about. So on the left, for the parasympathetic, when you are in that state, your salivation is being stimulated, your heart rate is going down, and your digestive activity is good. So this is the side you want to be on, and this is the side that is the calming side. This is the side that you're in, or the state that you're in, I should say, when you're not being overly stimulated and when you are calm. Now, what's the difference between these? Over on the right, you'll see in the sympathetic nervous system, this is the state where your body is in fight or flight mode. Now you can see in the red circles, it inhibits salivation, increases your heart rate, and inhibits digestive activity. Now, why did I think these are important? Because when your body is in fight or flight mode, it's not going to be healing, it's not going to be digesting, it's going to be taking all of its available energy to help you fight whatever this problem is that you're dealing with. This is something built into us from, our DNA, because our ancestors needed to run away from animals, but we don't need that anymore, although we still have this system that kicks in whenever we are in fight or flight mode, whenever we're stressed, whenever we're overstimulated, whenever there's way too much going on. This is the beta brain state where your brain waves are going just crazy. So when you don't have salivation is, that's the first step in digestion. So if you have any digestive issues, there's a good chance that you have been spending a lot of time in this sympathetic nervous system mode, where you're stressed, you're overstimulated, and your heart rate's going up and your body is not able to digest it correctly. So what you want is to be on the left side, where everything's working correctly and everything is working in a smooth and calm manner. So this is all probably making you want to scream, because it's stressful just learning about the things that make you stressful. It's stressful, and it becomes an overburden. It becomes just insanely heavy, just a heavy feeling when you have all of this coming at you all day long, from the minute you wake up till the minute you go to bed. It just makes you want to scream. But on the other hand, then there's this. There's this. This is just amazing. Like, just looking at this picture compared to all the other pictures, you can probably already start to feel a sense of calm. And so this is something that we can do to make this better, is to do things that can solve these problems. And so I'm going to go through these right now. So we don't want stress. We want nature, more nature. More nature is always a good thing. Um, if you are ever on a beach, you probably realized pretty quickly that you forgot about all your problems. And, just walking barefoot in the sand and the water, it's so calming and healing. And I know that not everybody can get access to an ocean or a lake or a river, um, but it's something worth looking for if you live close to any body of water, or it doesn't even have to be a body of water, as I'm going to go more into about nature in a little bit. Calming environments also help with stress and sleep. So, like, look at this picture. There's candles, there's tea, there's a plant, like a real flower, there's dim lights. This is what I call a sanctuary, making your bedroom a sanctuary. And I talk about this when I tell people how to get better sleep. This is one way to get better sleep. Because if your bedroom looks like this, you're probably going to sleep better than if you have a cluttered, messy, bright bedroom that's has no living things in it and none of the elements. Like, we want to have like a little glass of water sitting around for when we need it. We want to have a candle, and we don't want bright lights. So a calming environment can help a lot with this. So even if you do have a really stressful day where you've been just overstimulated, this is a great sanctuary. That's why I call it a sanctuary, because it's like your place that you can go to escape all of that. And then of course, if it's your bedroom, it's going to help you get sleepy, and just calming down is always good for sleep. So reading is calming, and this can stimulate the mind and the imagination rather than the senses. I wanted to talk about this because not all entertainment is stimulating. Calming is the better way to go about it if you're looking for if you're looking for what's the word I'm trying to say? I just said it. Entertainment. If you're bored and you're not, you don't want to sit on the couch and watch TV, grab a book, because this is the calming alternative to loud blinky lights and ads and all that stuff. So when you're stimulating the mind or the imagination, that's a whole different thing than stimulating the senses. Because when you're stimulating the senses, your brain has to process that in order to keep going. Like, when you're stimulating your mind, it's you're helping the brain. You're giving it something that it wants, rather than forcing it to deal with whatever it's coming at it. So there's a difference there. Camping. I want to talk about camping here. This is one of the biggest stress relievers. It's good for the body, mind, and the soul. And this is another example of something that you can do for entertainment if you are not wanting to sit on the couch and watch things. Because I don't think this is probably not the first time that you've heard this. Camping is so healthy in so many ways. It resets your circadian rhythm, for one, and this is where you go to forget about your problems. And so, you got everything there. You got nature, you got sunlight, you're moving around, you're going to have a fire, and you can put your toes in the sand or the grass. And yeah, I can't say enough good things about camping. So if you're able to, do a little more camping, and there's ways to do it if you don't have a lot of money. If you can afford a camper, it's a better way to be more comfortable. And there are places in the United States, I don't know about other countries, but there are places where you can camp for free in a camper. They're mostly in the southeast part of the country. They're called BLM land, and that stands for Bureau of Land Management. So you can go there for free as long as you move in the next 2 weeks, and you can't stay in the same spot that long. So there are ways to camp for free. And of course, if you are into tenting it, of course, that's very, very inexpensive. So then the next one on here is self-care, and I think self-care is so important that I've made other videos about this. I talk about this all the time. This is a huge part of my overall message. And when you're doing self-care, you're basically reversing all of the stimulation, especially if you do something like taking a bath. If you take a bubble bath with candles and incense and soft music, you're just you're you're kind of flipping the switch. You're going from, the parasympathetic to the sympathetic. Or I might have said that backwards because I get those confused once in a while, but you're basically, you know what I mean. You're basically going from fight or flight mode into rest and relaxation mode. Meditation, of course, this one is going to be on the list, and this is something that I admit that I didn't used to do this a lot, but I've recently committed myself to doing it every day for at least 15 minutes. And I really noticed the difference because before I regularly meditated, I used to always want to have something playing. Like if I was cooking dinner or taking a shower, I used to always want to have like a video playing so that I could, keep up with my learning. I'm really big on learning, so I'm always trying to listen to podcasts and summits and webinars and things like that. But I noticed that since I started meditating every day, I don't really need to have something on all the time. It's because of silence, because silence is golden. It's that golden area. That's a weird way to put it. It's that special place where I could make a whole another video about silence. But basically, in a nutshell, meditation is great for overstimulation. And you might be thinking, I've tried meditation. My mind is too busy. That's exactly why you need meditation. It sounds like, how do you get to that point of being able to do it when the reason why you need it is preventing you from doing it. And that's a weird problem to have, but trust me, you will get used to it and it will take time. You can do guided meditations if you are really ADD, you can really get some benefit out of guided meditations or listening to music. Really soft music, repetitive music, like a really light drum beat. I find that that's really good for meditation too. So I've done videos on meditation before and written blog posts about it, and so I will link to those because this video is not going to be completely about meditation, although that is a really, really big awesome way to counteract overstimulation. Walking in nature. So here's where I want to go a little bit more into nature. It's I have talked about nature so many times, but I really do think that it's one of the solutions that fixes like 99% of problems. It fixes anxiety and stress, and the stimulation that you get from nature is not the same. It's kind of like when I mentioned reading earlier. The stimulation you get from nature is natural stimulation. I think that's the key here. The stimulation that you don't want is like electronic stimulation, bright lights that aren't natural, sounds that are really like unnatural and jarring. But when you're in nature, you're getting all of the natural sounds. You're getting bird chirping, you're getting the waves crashing, you're getting the leaves rustling in the trees, you're getting the wind blowing. And not to mention the sunlight, which is amazing for your health. As long as you're not out in it for like hours with no protection, I prefer to use hats. I like to those wide brim hats. I'd rather do that than put on sunscreen. Um, so just walking in nature, I think is the cure to so many things, and I recommend that everybody do this as much as you can. And I know that it's not possible for a lot of people to do it a lot, and especially if you live in a cold climate, which I do. So I do go outside in the winter, but I have to bundle up quite a lot, but it's still worth it. So the last slide here is about solitude, and this kind of sums up this is actually where I got the idea to make this video because I was just thinking one day how there's so much stimulation with sights, with sounds, with relationships, just having people around. And I have written about solitude before. I have a blog post about it, but I think that this along with nature and meditation and self-care are the ways to get past overstimulation. They are the ways that you can put your body into that rest and relaxation mode. And when you're not resting, well, I shouldn't say rest. That's the way the people say it, but honestly, you don't really want to be resting a lot. You want to rest at night, but what it really means is your body is in a calm state. Your body is in a state where if there's food in your stomach, it's going to be able to digest it rather than, you know, sending adrenaline through your body to deal with stress. And, you know, life is stressful. Life is just full of overstimulation. And a lot of people will say, you know, how do you get away from that? You really can't in this world unless you purposely go out of your way to make these things happen. If you purposely go camping on a regular basis, if you purposely start meditating every day, if you purposely go for walks in nature, and if you purposely create solitude in your life, because there's so many people. This makes me sad when I see people that can't be alone. They don't know how to handle life by themselves, or they don't know what to do with themselves. And that's why they turn to the TV, because, you know, they can't be alone with their thoughts. And those are the kinds of people that do have trouble meditating. And those are the people that would benefit from guided meditation. And so maybe solitude is something that might be a little out of reach for you right now. If you get uncomfortable thinking about solitude, that's a sign that you need it, but it might be too big of a jump. So I would definitely recommend starting with just a little bit more self-care, maybe going on camping trips with people or one other person. You know, if you're around a lot of people, that can be more stimulating than one person. And so this kind of brings me into the subject of uh, introversion versus extroversion. If you are extroverted, then you might be happy spending time with 20 people all the time. But I think those people still need solitude. You still need to be in touch with yourself. You still need to have that connection with you, with your original thoughts, and not always being bombarded by the input of others and of all these sensory stimulations. So if solitude sounds great to you and that's wonderful, then I would recommend taking a little vacation by yourself, going on, it doesn't even have to be a long one. It can be a day or even a couple hours if that's all that you can get. Like, just go to your local state park and just go hiking for a couple of hours. That's something that I do a lot. And I think that that's a little more accessible than going on a retreat, for example, for a week. Although that's something that is, if you can do that, amazing. Go for it. So I think that's everything that I wanted to cover in this video. I gave you some ways that you can deal with overstimulation and why it is something that you want to keep under control. What you want is balance. You want to have a balance of input, sensory input, and a balance of solitude and calm. And so I really hope you got some benefit out of this. And if you enjoyed this video, you might also like this one about self-care for your mind, because that will cover a little bit about some of the things that I talked about in this video. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to subscribe.